Welcome to Season 2, Episode 11 of 50 Shades of Shilamida with your hostess, Shilamida. Today, I'm bringing to you a summit interview I did a few weeks ago on the power of gratitude. This interview was so powerful. When we did our recap, the presenters actually came forward and told me how much they love my talk on top of all of the people who participated. So I thought this would be a good episode to drop today because we are in the midst of November, which is Gratitude Month. If you are not on my Facebook page yet, go check it out. I have been running a free gratitude challenge and we are in it. It is so fun. It's fun to watch people raise their vibration just by being grateful. It really changes and shifts everything. So take a listen, like, comment, let me know your thoughts, let me know how you're feeling, and go participate in the gratitude challenge. And if you want a little privacy, more one-to-one with me, join Gratitude 365, where we are grateful every single day. We have a call every single month and we go deeper. I love you. Have the best day ever.
We have, and if you know me, you know I have a hard time saying names, and I've been practicing the names. So Shilamida, I hope I said it correctly. Forgive me if I didn't. You'll say it right when you come on. She is a transformation and lifestyle mentor. She shares her journey of misfortune to triumph to show others what's possible in this life. She's a kind, powerful, passionate, dedicated, and her whole aura, I love it. It's just, she speaks to my heart. She is talking about the power of gratitude today. And, we talked about this earlier. Lisa touched base on it. I've talked a lot about it. And it's not just that thank you list, it's very specific, and she's going to dive in further. So, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. How do I say it? Did I say it
Thank
okay?
you. You did good. You did good.
Awesome.
Shilamida.
I always say, like, when I was a kid, I couldn't say lawyer. I used to say lawyer. And my brothers would tease me. They're like, why can't you say that word? And I ended up becoming a paralegal. So I got lots of practice saying that word.
Oh,
It's
that's
just
funny. Yeah. My
certain.
husband renames everybody, so I'm kind of used to it. I've started doing the same, so I've stopped taking offense to the name thing.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. You teach that gratitude is a superpower that manifests everything we desire, which I completely agree with. Can you share how gratitude actually shifts our energy from lack to abundance?
Yeah. So my story a little bit is I used to be 250 pounds, single mom living on food stamps, and my life was miserable. And that's the way that I showed up in life. And fortunately for me, I met a new friend and she came to my apartment one day and we were having a conversation. And she said to me, wow, you're really negative and you complain a lot. And I was shocked because A, who says that to somebody, right? But B, I needed to hear it because I really didn't know that I was negative and I really didn't know that I complained a lot. Part of this game that we're playing in life is being aware and being conscious of the things that we're doing and saying, and just how Lisa just described her group. It's like if you're not aware of what you're putting out financially and you're not aware of what is coming in, then how can you possibly make big moves in your life? And I've experienced that in my business. And so in that conversation, she had said to me, haven't you ever heard of the law of attraction? Haven't you ever heard of The Secret? And for those of you that don't know, The Secret was a very popular book in 2007. It was also on CD and it was also turned into a movie. And so I made every excuse in the book possible. I don't like to read. I don't like to listen. And the crazy part is that these things were literally at my fingertips. Like the law of attraction, the book was recommended to me when I was, I think, 21 years old. I was in one of those MLM companies called Party Light, and I was at their convention and I was sitting next to a lady at lunch and she said to me, you have to read the law of attraction. And so of course I went home, I bought it. I read 3 pages. There were no pictures in it. I could not get into it. And so I put it on my bookshelf. And so when she said those words to me, I went and I literally took this book off of my bookshelf and I blew the dust off because it was 7 years later. And I ended up reading that book in 3 days. And so it was the same thing with The Secret. I was like, I can't read it. And she was like, well, you should listen to it. And I got up in that conversation. I went to my dining room and I had it. I had it on CD set. I have no idea how I had it. But what's interesting is all these years later, I've now been on this spiritual journey for 23 years. So all these years later, in hindsight, I could see how God, universe, source was trying to put me on my path the entire time. So even being in this space with us today, there's a reason you're here today. There's a reason you're hearing this information because it's your time. It's your time to start changing and shifting your existence. And so, how do we do that? We do that with the power of gratitude. It's not just about making a list of the things that you're grateful for, but it's actually tapping into this energy. You can feel it inside of you when you're really having a grateful moment, when you can fill your heart with love and be in the now, because most of us, we're not in the now. You're sitting here, you're listening to me, but you're wondering what you're going to have for dinner. You're wondering what time pickup is. Your mind is not fully here. You're not fully present. And that's what happens the second we wake up in the morning. The second we wake up in the morning, we start going into the predictable future. We know that we're going to get up, we're going to take a shower, we're going to make our coffee, we're going to drive the kids to school, whatever your morning schedule is, but you start going. And so a huge game changer in my life was the minute I wake up now, I start being grateful. I start my day with gratitude. And the first thing that I'm grateful to, I'm thankful to God. And so God used to be a really dirty word for me. I do not say God by sharing religion with you. I do not, propose to any particular religion. In my house, we celebrate Judaism for tradition. But when I say God, it is a connection that I have with a greater source and a greater power. And so that is it. It is me and it is God. And when I started thanking God in the morning, my whole entire life changed. Because before I wasn't a morning person. I wasn't a morning person. Can anybody relate to that? I had two nannies for my children. I did not wake up with my children. I just couldn't do it. I could not wake up in the morning. And what happened that was so interesting after I started thanking God in the morning, I started waking up before the alarm would go off. And it was like a little nudge, like, hey, Shill, let's have a conversation, you and me. And so I start with the power of gratitude. Thank you, God. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the bed that I woke up in. Thank you for clean sheets. Thank you for the washer and dryer that cleans the sheets. Thank you for functioning, operating appliances, right? How many of you have woken up one day and something just shuts down, right? Like the refrigerator shuts down, the car stops working. Like we take for granted the things that we have in our everyday life. And so when I say to people, are you grateful at least 20 times a day? They kind of look at me and, their first response to are you grateful is, of course I'm grateful. But then my next question is, are you actually grateful 20 times a day, putting that focus and energy and attention to it? And they kind of just look at me because most people aren't. And if you're not focusing your attention onto the gratitude, then guess what? Chances are that you're probably being negative or you're complaining. And so I know that that's really hard to hear because facing yourself and facing your ego and being like, wait a second, do I actually complain a lot? And am I a negative person? You don't think you are, but when you're like, the alarm went off and the kids won't get to school on time and I got to go to work and there's traffic, that's negative and that's complaining. You're shifting your energy out of gratitude.
I love that shift of energy, and it is so true. I said earlier in the summit, I took a golf lesson last night. The instructor was talking about how our mindset when we're playing is so important and what we focus on expands. And when we think about that mirror talk, that language that we're saying to ourselves, so shifting it. I have a question for you I'm just going to add that I want to know how you lost all that weight. So that's in there too. But
Ah,
also, I want to know, a lot of times women feel stuck in fear or scarcity. Like, raise your hand if that's you. I know fear keeps us thinking that we can't do something. So, what's a small gratitude practice that we can implement today, like right now, to attract more joy, peace, and financial flow?
Yeah, so you have to be aware of it, right? You have to catch yourself and be like, oh, I'm putting my time and attention right now into fear. I'm not going to do that. Because when you're living in fear, you're living in lack because you're taking yourself out of the now, right? The now is the present moment. This is the only thing that matters, this present moment. So, what happened in the past is in the past. We can't control that. It's over. And what's going to happen in the future, we're controlling right now in this present moment. So if you're focusing on fear, then you're creating more fear. So when you can catch yourself in the moment of being like, oh my God, I'm so scared about this, shut that off and start your gratitude. Like every time, bring it to gratitude. I'm grateful I get to show up here today. I'm grateful that I have time in the middle of my day to listen to a summit like this. I'm grateful that I have a wonderful man to go home to at the end of the day. I'm grateful for my children. Just start cultivating the love in your life. Think of things in the moment. Start looking around the room. You know, when I first started being grateful, I had told you I was 250 pounds, single mom living on food stamps. I did not have a lot of things to be grateful for, I thought, right? Because I was miserable. I hated the woman I saw in the mirror. I hated everything about my life. And so I would literally sit in my recliner and I would start looking around the room, and I would be grateful that I was sitting in a recliner. I would be grateful that I had electricity. I would be grateful that I had a TV. I would just start being grateful for the stuff in the room. And then all of a sudden it would shift and I would start feeling the love and I would start feeling that happiness. And mirror work was actually a very big part of my existence. It was a very big part of my shift and my ability to lose the weight, because I would then, in that state of love and in that state of gratitude and appreciation, take myself to the mirror and I would have a conversation with myself there. I love you, Shilamida, and I forgive you. I love you, Shilamida, and I forgive you. I love you, Shilamida, and I forgive you, because part of my existence, part of my fear was I was always angry. I was always angry at someone. I was always blaming somebody for why my life was the way that it was. And so a big part of this journey is facing yourself in the mirror and forgiving yourself and forgiving the people that have done you wrong. It's having compassion for somebody else and knowing they're not at the same level of spirituality that I'm at. And that is why they said what they said to me. And that is why they did what they did to me. And the truth is the woman that I was then, I was a pretty shitty person. And so I was mean and I was not nice and I didn't talk to people very nice. And sometimes I just needed to stand in the mirror and forgive myself and face myself and be like, you shouldn't have said that today. And you could have been nicer and you could have done this different. I had to have started having these conversations. And Lisa's been in my world for a long time. She's been in some very intimate containers with me. And so Lisa has seen the shift in me. I mean, I started the spiritual journey 23 years ago. I really started learning about gratitude, I would say 15, 16 years ago. But my massive shift has been really over the last 5 years. So we're constantly evolving, we're constantly growing. You're constantly going to go back to the same problems you're dealing with now. They're just going to come to you at a higher level in a different way. And once you start pinning it together, well, like, wait a second, we already did this. We already lived through this. So now you go back to the basics. And back to the basics is being grateful, mirror work. I stand in front of the mirror now. I don't just say I love you and I forgive you. I tell myself that I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of you, Shilamida, for getting this far. I'm proud of you for losing all that weight. I'm proud of you for showing up every day, right? Because it's a journey. We're on a journey. It's not, you're not going to hit financial abundance and like all your problems are going to go away. You hit financial abundance and what's the saying? It's better to have rich people problem than poor people problems. I mean, I am a testament to that. I could tell you that my rich people problems are a lot more dealable than my poor people problems, but you're always going to have problems. That's the thing. We're always going to have problems. We're always going to face the duality of what life is throwing at us. But the thing is that you get to grow up. in the process. And that's my
Mhm.
free gift. I'll just plug that now is as I've included my masterclass called Grow, because a big part of this process for me is growing my emotional intelligence to be able to handle the things, right? So my 29-year-old self wouldn't have been able to handle rich people problems. That's why I was poor, because living the life that I live now, I understand that there was this entire growth process that needed to happen. And I needed to raise my inner child because there was no mother and no father raising my inner child to the capacity that I needed to get to have the level of success that I have now.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. It seems so easy having gratitude and just really being thankful for what we have. And yet it's a very complex process.
Yeah,
And so when we focus on our mindset, we become the happiest, wealthiest person we know,
yeah.
and we're able to hold on to that because a lot of people can't hold on to it. They're like, why can't I be wealthy? Why can't I, have the things that I want? It's because you don't have the capacity to hold on to it because, in our super subconscious, there's this conversation going on, and a lot of times it's from our ancestral beliefs. It's just passed on from generation to generation. So, what mindset shifts have the biggest impact on our ability to receive more?
Well, this whole wealth consciousness is the understanding that wealth is not money. And so I had a really hard time with that because I just wanted to be rich, right? I just
Hmm.
wanted money. And then I met a very wealthy man. And so I thought my whole life was going to change. I thought this was it. But then that very wealthy man went into a 6.5 year divorce. And
Hmm.
so while the money was there, it was a very difficult time. And I was not emotionally intelligent. And so I was a little brat. And that made life really hard. It's this awareness that money is not going to buy you happiness. And I hate hearing that, right? Like, I hate when people say that out loud, but it's the truth. Money
Hmm.
buys you things that bring you temporary dopamine hits into your life, right? But wealth is a consciousness, it's an abundance of all things. And so I consider myself to be a very wealthy woman now because I am an incredible mother. I am present for my children. That's not something that was in the past. I told you when we first started, I had nannies that would wake up my children and be with my children because I just didn't know how to balance my life with that. I was trying to build my career, build my success, build my wealth. And my kids were kind of getting in the way of that for me. That was a really big thing that I needed to grow through and live through. And now I'm fully present. I'm here in the morning. I crawl into bed with each one of them. I'm there at the end of the day. I'm there to pick them up at school. I say no to things that are work related or in the past. I always thought that was my success. It is my success knowing that my children are growing up emotionally intelligent. In
Hmm.
my relationships before 2020, my relationships were all transactional. My friends were the people that I paid. It was all, I had the money, but I wasn't happy. I didn't have friends. I had transactions. And now, 5 years later, all those people that I pay, I no longer pay. And we're actually friends. We have friendships. We have these beautiful relationships. And I know anytime I pick up the phone and I want to go to dinner or I want to meet up with someone in a different state, like there's always somebody because I've built these beautiful relationships where before ego got in the way and it was like, well, I don't have time. I don't have time to be building relationships. I'm just building a business, right?
Hmm.
So we get lost in this process of what is important and what is not, and what is wealth really. And so a lot of this, again, is growing your emotional intelligence. It's raising that little girl inside of you. My little girl, she was a weirdo and she didn't fit in with other kids. And she got made fun of because she was fat and she didn't have nice clothes. And so as I started growing up, I took all that anger and I put that onto other people because I didn't know how to self process. And so it all goes back to the basics. It goes back to the gratitude work. I spent years being grateful for beautiful relationships, for opportunities, for networking, for women who would really have my back. I mean, these are things that you'll find in my gratitude journals, in my gratitude work. Just being able to sit outside, like today, I took a nap this morning. And
Mhm.
I feel like the richest person in the world, like to be able to do that, like to be able to clear my calendar, to be able to rest because that's what my body ultimately needed. When you're in the hustle, you're not able to do that. You're not able to shut down. And I actually started writing a post yesterday that I didn't get a chance to finish. But this weekend, I was at a Dr. Joe Dispenza advanced weekend retreat. And something that really came through to me was slow down. You're allowed to slow down. I've always been in such a rush that it needs to get done and it needs to get done now. And I have these incredible visions of what life is going to be like. I see myself on stage with thousands of people. I see myself leading weekends like Dr. Joe is leading, but I don't need to do that right now.
Mhm.
If I was to do that right now, then that takes away from my husband and my children and my family. And I'm really enjoying this right now. So, what's going to make the difference? I get to go on a private jet. Okay, I get to do that 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I get to experience a penthouse that I've never experienced. Okay, I'll get to do that, right? So it's just realizing like there's so much of life that is still left to live. And when you're taking away, it's like you're stealing time from stuff now. And I don't want to get to a point where I'm older where I'm like, I missed it.
Mhm.
I missed everything. And trust me, I've had to go through a lot of this right now because I have an 18-year-old and I missed it with him.
Mhm.
I missed a lot of time with him. And he got lost along the way. And so now being able to be present, I'm going to cry, being able to be present for him and being able to pull him back in, like realizing that I could have an 18-year-old who could have strayed so far because of the choices that I made. But instead, I came back and like, this matters more. The money will come, the money's already there. You're tapped into it. You just have to realize how to tap into that now. And so this is where the gratitude piece is so important because we're always stuck in that future self. Bring it back to the now. You slow down the time because this is all the time that we have left, right? Life is really short. 100 years is really short if we are lucky to live that long. And
Mhm.
so bringing the gratitude practice every day feeling it 20 times. I am grateful. I am grateful. I am grateful. Not, I'm grateful I have a car. I'm grateful I have a job. I'm grateful I have kids. That's a different energy. You could feel that. But really putting your hands over your heart, closing your eyes, and taking a few deep breaths and tapping into the gratitude, it changes everything.
And that's so true. I mean, you said it so beautifully. And, a lot of times I mean, as humans, we just focus on the negative. We want to focus on what's not working instead of what is working. And a lot of times, when you can visualize, I've had coaches tell me, well, fake it till you make it. It's like, no, I can't fake it till you make it. But when you focus on what worked, so one of the practices that, I teach in my container is at the end of the day, reflect on what you're celebrating, what good things happened, and really focusing on it because we take so many things for granted, like especially our health. And we think about it, and I loved how you said that, the true wealth isn't about the money coming in. It's about those experiences. It's about the relationships. Tomorrow is not promised, and on our deathbeds, we're not going to care how much money's in our bank account. We're going to care about our loved ones and who we're surrounded with and connecting with those relationships. And yeah, as moms especially, we want to be able to provide for our children and give them all the beautiful things, but enjoying the experience, that's true wealth. And on my podcast, I Date Money, you hear that a lot. That's one of the common questions I ask my guest is, how do you define true wealth? So oftentimes, gratitude seems so simple. So gratitude and desire often get misunderstood. So
Yeah.
how do we stay deeply grateful for what we have while still expanding into more than what we want? Because there's always that future, our present self is always looking at our future self saying, I want this. And then we go into comparison mode. Well,
Wow.
that coach is getting all these people and they're making, all this money. How come I'm not doing it? What am I doing wrong?
So first thing I would suggest doing is unfollow. Unfollow the ones that are triggering you, unfollow the ones that are on your radar that you're comparing yourself to. Just unfollow, take them off of your everyday, because then you can focus on you. You have to be able to focus on you and what your desires are, because the truth is you think you desire what you're seeing, but you really don't, right? Like, I say this all the time. People watch my life. I travel every month. I get on an airplane every single month, and people watch me, and I know that people watch me in jealousy, and I tell them, you don't really want this. You think you want this, but packing, unpacking, it's not a lifestyle for everybody. So what is it that you actually desire? Do you want to travel like I travel, or do you want to just travel? Do you want to travel one time a year, twice a year, three times a year? What is it that you desire? Not what is it that I desire, right? Because my life is very different. It's the same thing with my husband. People will look at me and be like, oh, but your husband. And I'm like, you don't understand. My husband works 24/7, 7 days a week. Most women would never be able to handle the relationship that I'm in. The phones are on during dinner, computers are on when we're on vacation. Like, do you really want that? Is that really what you want? And when I have this conversation with people, they kind of look at me. And so this is the thing, we get stuck in jealousy and comparison. And this is where my life really shifted. Was in 2007 was when Facebook really just started. It was maybe a year old at that point. And I would watch other people's lives in pure jealousy. Like, why does she have a man like that? I don't. Why did they get to travel to that place? I don't. And once I started this work, this gratitude work, I started looking people in a different way. And I started being like, oh, look at them. They're in love. I'm so grateful I'm in love. Oh, look at them. They're in Turks and Caicos. I'm so grateful I get to travel to Turks and Caicos. I started taking the feed, and instead of being jealous and envious over it, I started shifting that into gratitude and allowing for it to be evidence for me of what was possible for me. And that is where the shift happens. So if you're going to keep the coaches on there, then take what they're showing you. But I'm going to tell you from very much experience in this industry, what you're seeing is a farce. The coaches who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, they don't even have the money to pay their bills. They might be bringing it in, but they're not holding it, and they're not spending their money properly. So you're getting sucked into marketing. I know, because I've had the privilege this last year of working with some people very closely, that I've been able to see finances, and I see what they're posting, and it's a total farce. So don't get stuck in what people are showing you. A lot of it is an act. And of course, a lot of it is real too, but use it to show you what's possible. But if you're not able to hold the money, it's never going to be enough. You're going to make the money. It's never going to be enough. In my acupuncture practice, my highest year was a $500,000 year, and it was never enough. I went from 20,000 months to $40,000 months to $60,000 month, and you're just chasing, you're chasing, because with more money comes more stuff, and you're
Mhm.
going to spend, and you're going to want to do things, and it's never enough. That's why you have to become enough with who you are, and the gratitude piece and the self-love and the self-worth piece now, because then when the money comes, you're going to be grateful for it, you're going to appreciate it, and you're going to keep attracting more and keep attracting more and keep attracting more. Otherwise, you're going to keep going through this roller coaster, and it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, so true. Well said. Thank you so much for sharing that. So tell us how a little bit about who you work with and how we can get a hold of you, and then share what your VIP gift is.
Yeah, I am working with women mainly. I have a monthly gratitude group. It's $33 a month. I post in there every single day to get your energy up, to raise your vibration. It's not just gratitude. We do forgiveness work in there. We do inner child work in there. So, like every day, I just give you a reminder to tap into a place that you need healing from or you need to expand over. You can find me on the internet by spelling my name correctly. My website is shilamida.com. I hang out on Instagram at 50 Shades of Shilamida and Goddess of Gratitude, and I'm always on Facebook. And my VIP gift is a really special course I did called Manifesting Magic. And it really breaks apart all of the things that we're talking about today and helps you to manifest your own magical life, which I was able to do.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your energy. I love your journey, and I'm so excited that Lisa was able to be with her, to have that consistent person in your life that watched you grow through that. So that's so, so beautiful. Thank you so much.